Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Grassroots Racer. I'm really looking forward to speaking with tonight's guest. I first met him in about 2016 when I started out in go-karting, and he was a really talented driver back then and still is today. So I can't wait to find out what he's been up to recently. He's dabbled in a bit of karting and done a few racing a few cars here and there. He's currently studying at RMIT to be an aerospace engineer. So let's find out more. And I welcome Matt Morris. So how are you tonight, Matt?
Hello. Hello. Good to be here. Thank you. It's been a while. Good to catch up with you.
100%, Matt. And, you might notice that I found this awesome looking top that, I'm wearing that finally fits me after all these years ago. So, I think it used to start down at my knees and, now I've finally grown into it as I got a bit older. But how did you come up with the name Swaglord Racing?
To be fair, it was my dad used to wear a snowboarding coat to the track at Pucka during winter, and it had a nice furred hood lining, and people started calling him that name, Swaglord, and then so basically I wanted a name that stuck out for a race team, and that word was floating around at the time, so I stuck with that. And then, decided that was a perfect name for the team.
Well, that's we all have different ways of how we got our racing name. Some people just have first name, last name racing. Some people have creative ideas, like Filippin Mad Motorsport was a friend's idea. So, it's quite cool how some people come up with their racing names. But I did mention, knowing you back in the karting days, and I'd known you never had too much of a budget and your equipment was a little bit old, but you still managed to have really successful results. Like, I think it was the 2016 or 17 red plate. Like that was one of your big ones, I think. And,
Yes.
would was it challenging not having the funds to race as much as what you would like to?
Definitely. I would have liked to do as much racing as possible, just like a lot of people. But it allowed me to concentrate on the events that I wanted to do. And also, I think I was going through the end of high school around that time. So it worked out well being able to focus on my subjects as well. And then just sort of throw everything at that one event, which, it was still enjoyable and it still had good results doing everything like that.
Yeah, and I did mention the red plate. Would you say that is one of your greatest wins, or is there any other events that still stick in your memory?
Yeah, definitely in terms of wins, it was one of the good ones. But probably, I reckon my favorite race, if we want to go there, was probably Top Guns at Oakley in the wet, driving from last up into second, like 1/10 off the lead was probably that was my favorite one. But the red plate definitely favorite win, I'd say.
Yeah, I was there that day and I missed out by nothing over the line. I quite vividly remember that day. But we both used to race together and we sort of pitted together when we had Ed and Creagh mentoring myself. As you know, he was my coach and you know him very well. And you've done a lot of karting together. So can you tell me a good story about him, right? Doesn't matter if it's embarrassing, or no, I'm sure he won't mind, but
Yeah, all right. Good story. I remember the first time I met Ayrton was at the VKA karting camp at Bendigo kart track, which was like 2013 or 2014. It was one of the first years that I started off, and basically it was a bunch of kids from the country and a few from the city ended up having like a 2-day event at Bendigo Kart Club, being taught by some random kart drivers who I had no idea who they were at the time, called Dave Sarah and Joey Hansen. So, multiple national champion and former world champion, Joey Hansen. I think, and then I just met Ayrton there, didn't hear from him after that for another 3 years or so. And then one day he popped up onto my Facebook as this person. And I thought, oh, that name sounds familiar. So we got in touch from there. It was pretty crazy at the time, but after 3 years of not seeing him, he just popped up. And then from there, he sort of invited me into the Ayrton Creagh Motorsport team and gave me a few karts to drive, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and then obviously, around the time we met, I can't remember if it was you or him started the idea to do racing for pink. Um, can't remember exactly whose initiative it was, but we ended up doing a big promotion where your kart was totally pink, and then with the red plate as well, that sort of blended into the paint style. And we ended up being on the news for it as well. So, you know, what was your favorite part about being in racing for pink?
Um, oh, it's got it. I think it was the idea behind it, just trying
Mm,
to do something for a good cause and stand out. I think at the time it was an Arrow X2, which was like 5 years old or something.
mm,
And I liked that we just sort of we brought that back to life. It was sitting in Ayrton's backyard, just open to the weather and everything, and we thought it would be good to paint it pink and raise awareness and everything like that. And it was I think just how much everyone came together and supported it. It was very
mm,
cool. We had like the donated sticker kit from RGI and everything, and there was always a lot of support at the
mm.
track, like you said, and from Win News as well, doing the interviews and everything. So yeah, it was definitely just the
Mm.
community getting around. It was very
Yeah,
nice.
I remember that time. I don't know how we were able to, but I was allowed to wear the shirt as I was driving. I think that's a picture you've got on your page as well somewhere.
Yes.
That was pretty cool. That normally you normally wouldn't get away with that. So yeah, we were able to do that, and I do remember with the stickers that were donated by RGI. Me and my brother went round, and we were like little, we were really little, and we went to people and asked them to put the sticker on their cart for, I think, was it $1 or two, or gold coin donation,
Yes,
something like
it'd be
that.
just $1. Yeah, stickers I printed at home,
Yeah,
cut up with scissors. So there are a lot of people out there with wonky stickers, but I don't think they mind.
yeah, yeah. Those were some pretty fun times back then. But you were pretty well known for also doing an odd skid, which may have been caught on camera a few times by Pace Images. What do you think? Like, do you think you did some of the best skids out of all the go karters there?
I'd like to think so. At the time, it was back in the day, skids weren't a very big thing, or they weren't very well documented. I'd like to think we we brought them to the camera and got all the attention because yeah, Pace was Ben was always at the good events that we were racing and managed to be there just in time at the
Yeah,
right moment, and then that trend sort of caught on, getting it on camera. That was pretty cool.
yeah. And just another thing, Ben is actually doing really well. I just want to give a quick shout out because he's moved up in the world of motorsport. So he's, he every now and again he'll go take photos for the V8 supercars. Well, not for them, but at the events and stuff. I think he went to Albert Park as well, but he's doing very well in the world of motorsport.
Doing real well.
Yeah. And you've also spent some time helping younger kids when you worked at High Voltage Karts and you were involved in a Mini Legends program. So, what do you remember
Yes.
about the time there, and what were the highlights?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. It was good. It was like a school holiday training camp that went. I think it was normally 3 days at a time. So basically, just normal kids rocked up to the indoor electric carts, which were really, really quick out at high voltage when they were around. And it was good because a lot of them, had never done any driving before. And then sort of at the end of the course, a lot of them were really keen to get into racing and everything. And, there were a few people that went on to pick up memberships and stuff at local clubs and get into two-stroke
Mm.
karting and every sprint karts like we did. That was pretty cool, just seeing people get inspired. But then that also led into high voltage letting me do a few demonstration laps around their track in the Mini as well, which was it was unexpected to come from that, but it was very cool to get that opportunity.
Yeah. Let's just quickly talk about the Mini. Where did it originally come from?
So that Mini, I've got a few
Yeah.
minis. My
Sorry.
dad's from
Yeah.
England, so he's a Mini man. That green Mini that I was driving around there, that was his road car in England. That he's done quite a bit of work on it. The motor and everything, it's been bought out to a 1380, pretty hot. And so he brought that over to Australia, and that was his daily over here as well until he picked up a good old Hilux. And yeah, that sort of just sits in the shed, gets a drive every now and then. But he thought it's sort of perfectly sized to run around a go-kart track. Being so small, it managed to not hit anything, get around only probably a second slower than the electric karts did, so it was pretty quick.
And was that you done a few dirt races in that, or like a few times on dirt with that car? Yeah.
Not that many. I used to do a lot of autocrosses in an old 63 850 that I had, which is very slow in the straights, but being a Mini, it was quite quick on the corners, especially on dirt.
Yeah. You can see that Minis are a really quick car. Like, I do Motorcana and Carnicross, and in the Motorcanas, the Minis are just that quick. The way they can just handle, like, turn around the corners and stuff, they're very quick. I guess now we have to talk about the famous Mini Minor you have, which is pretty impressive. So what was it like when you first got it, and, what is it up to now?
Okay. Is it, as I have a few, I'm guessing this is the sort of the sparkly blue Mini?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Basically, due to some unfortunate circumstances, my 850 that I used to autocross ended up going over itself. So this it's a Leyland Mini, the one I've got. It was Mini Clubman if you're in Australia. It was basically sitting in someone's shed, I think, out in the hills somewhere. It was when we picked it up, we thought it looked pretty good. But as the usual story with old cars is, it was filled with bog. The second we started taking some paint off it. So the idea was basically to build it up and learn sort of how to build a car from scratch, really, because when I got it, I think I was 14 or so. Obviously, only working on go-karts, going to a car is a big difference. So basically fully rebuilt the car from scratch, with racing components and everything, upgraded suspension, bushes, all that stuff. Put a roll cage in it. Took the old roll cage out of my old car, put a new one in, thanks to some machine work from some other people putting side braces and everything in. And then as well learnt how to spray paint and everything like that, which ended up going for a metal flake, a purely blue metal flake finish, so you can't really see any base coat under there, which is cool. But now that it's done, it's sort of it's in the shed, all finished, ready to go. I'm just really looking for, I guess, the right occasion to take it out. Just once I can think of a good reason or a good place to go, it'll see some track action.
Well, like, I've looked at it on your Instagram page. It looks very nice, but was it you who came up with the blue, like, pinkish red colors? And why the fur on the dash as well? Bit different.
Yes. If you haven't worked out by now, or people who are unfamiliar, I like things that are a bit different. Blue's a good color, as you've chosen that background behind you. And so I like the glitter, obviously stands out a lot. So that was pretty straightforward. Blue glitter, why not? And then pink. Pink came out as the second color, basically because we had quite a lot of pink pearl left over from painting the go-kart pink for the Racing for Pink ages ago. So rather than let all that paint go to waste, because pearl paint is very expensive, believe it or not, it was just try and fit it in the car as much as possible. And then the fur on the dash, I managed to find some pink fake leopard print fur on eBay. And instead of, trying to re-trim the dash or something in old vinyl like Leyland would have done, it was quite easy to, well, I say easy. My dad did the fur because he was quite good at it, but he's got that stuck on the dash, and it stands out a bit. It's not something you'd see on a normal Mini.
Maybe you could take the car out to a car meet or something, but for racetrack wise, I'm sure you could probably do a time attack or something at Winton if an event comes up. Probably just need a ASA license, but not 100% sure about all that.
Yes.
But I also know that you participated in a program that Cam's, formerly, Motorsport Australia, used to run at Cam's Academy. What was that experience like?
That was probably one of my favourite things that I've done involved with motorsport. It was basically they selected a lot of maybe 20 up and coming karters that were at the time looking to make the step into Formula 4 back when that series was running around 2015, 2016 sort of era. So it was split up into two things. The first one was a big like fitness training camp that ran for a couple of days with a company called the Winning Formula, I think they were called. They worked with like a lot of professional athletes, like footy players, tennis players, and everything like that. And it was basically to bring up all your strength and everything that you need to be a race car driver in those sort of quick high G cars and everything. It's very physical. So that was the first 3-day training camp. And then the second part of that was obviously the F4 drive sort of evaluation day thing, which was at the Wodonga Logic track. So that day was run by Cams, and we were driving Formula 4 cars that were run by Dream Racing on the day. And so that was obviously driving Formula 4 was very, very exciting. You know, the fastest car I've ever driven, really.
I'll get back to that in a minute, but do you think like some people who did the academy with you have gone on to race in Formula Ford and other popular categories like that? Was it the budget that prevented you? Because you certainly did have talent, but do you think the budget held you back?
Definitely, it obviously takes a lot of money, as everyone knows, to run at the pointy end of motorsport. Everyone there would have loved to have a drive. Unfortunately, not everyone can obviously afford the budget. A lot of people there were unable to, myself included. But then, you know, there were others who could, and a lot of them have gone on to do really well for themselves and are still racing some big leagues today.
Some people, I think, who used to kart with you, like for an example, did you ever race against Cody Donald?
Yes.
Yeah, he now races Formula Ford. So, and I've actually interviewed him on here. But yeah, I see you have a new car on the scene, which is a E46. And I'll just quickly tell you something. When you put a story up a while ago of that number, Dad goes to me. I go to Dad, what car do you think it is? And I showed him the number, and he goes, it's definitely a German car. So me being curious, I searched it up, and it came up with an E46. And I said, have a guess. I go, it's a BMW. And he goes, probably an E36 or something. I was like, no, it's an E46, but, you know, it's very cool. So, yeah, what are your plans with that car?
So basically, it's my reliable daily at the moment because my Corolla's parked up for a little bit. It's just going to be a street car, basically. I got it because I wanted a manual rear-wheel drive coupe. And those are pretty much the BMW coupes are sort of the best bang for buck going around the 3 Series. You know, they're relatively reliable, easy to work on. So it's running Shockworks coilovers, which is a fair upgrade from the stock suspension. I've got some upgraded sway bars coming for it as well, shipped in from America. And then I'm just going to do some small mods, like throw a limited slip diff in it and basically just upgrade the suspension and everything, bushes and everything like that, just to get some good performance out of it. Because, you know, there's no real point modifying the motor because it is a road car and you've got to do the speed limit, but you can still enjoy it through the corners, basically, is my thoughts behind that.
Yeah, if it's comfortable to drive, that's probably the most important thing for a daily driver. As much as you'd like to be able to smash the accelerator on a back road, you really shouldn't. But
got to do that.
As I mentioned earlier, you are studying RMIT, doing aerospace engineering. And as a part of this course, you have been developing, or you were developing a Formula ASE. Can you tell me a little bit more about that and what's involved?
Yes. So basically, the Formula SAE program, it's the largest world engineering competition worldwide. From all universities across the world, there's hundreds of teams in all countries. Basically, the aim is to build a prototype open wheel race car each year. There are three main categories, basically combustion powered, electric powered, and then autonomous vehicles. The RMIT electric racing, the team that I'm with and I was the chief engineer of last year. Basically, we build an electric one it's 4-wheel drive, in-wheel hub motor, so it's got 4, one on each wheel. Makes 1,200 newton meters of torque, so it's got a fair bit of go.
Yeah.
Fully student built, student designed. It's got they're basically, I describe them to people as miniature Formula One cars. You know, they're full push rod suspension, big slicks, and full aero package and everything like that. So it's a really, really cool car, and it's the best way for sort of students to get involved with sort of real world engineering activities, I guess.
Yeah, it looks very cool. And you said it is a worldwide thing. So did you actually get to go overseas for the program?
As a lot of people probably heard the story from me, there were plans in 2020 to go over to Europe to race in, I think we had Germany, Spain, Czech Republic, and Austria or something lined up. So we had a big trip planned, but then obviously COVID hit, and that took away a lot of the opportunity from that time. But that's Europe's been put on the back burner for a little bit, but it should hopefully happen in the future. But for this year, we're basically just focusing on our competition at Winton in December.
What is the competition for people like myself who might be interested in going up?
Yes, if you fancy a nice long drive up the Hume to Winton in summer, it was 45 degrees last time I went. It's basically, there's two parts of the competitions. There's the statics and dynamics. So statics is basically you have to explain all the engineering rationale behind your design, I'll try and show the validation behind your designs and everything like that. And you present them to real world judges. Like a lot of them are from like engineering companies. A lot of the judges last time were from Ford and Holden for like the suspension design and the chassis design. And then, you know, the electrics design is probably people from Bosch or something like that. And then the dynamics competition, we have 4 events. So you have like an acceleration, which is basically a drag race to show off the straight line performance of your car, and then a skid pad to show the dynamic, like your handling, pulling big G's going around in circles. And then there are 2 on-track events called autocross and endurance. So it's basically a 20-25 minute race just around the track to go as quick as possible and hopefully beat the other teams.
Was that what you were doing at Winton last time? With the judges?
Yes. That was, so that competition, it's pretty much the same format around the world. So we had a lot of international teams last year from like Japan, Taiwan, India. Obviously, they were in a new country, but the sort of process and everything behind that was the same as the competitions they would have competed in at home.
That is very cool. But, you know, you said you have to develop the car and stuff, and you've actually been working on it for quite a while. So has much changed over the years from when you first started working on it to what it is now? Yes.
So when I first started started on the team in, I think, 2019 or something like that, it was just a 2-wheel drive car. So rear-wheel drive, it was chain driven, powered by an 80 kilowatt motor. And then obviously, so each year you design and build a car. So the idea is to keep turning them over with new team members and everything like that coming around. So yeah, changes from the 2-wheel drive car. There's been a huge push across all the different systems, things like that. You know, our aerodynamics package is sort of developing 3 times the downforce as what it was in 2019, and then it's making 3 times the torque as well. So there's quite a lot of significant changes that continually happen.
Yeah, that's really cool. And obviously you're doing that as a study. So what is your goal at the end of uni? Do you want to go work for a race team or drive for someone if you got the opportunity?
I'm not too sure at the moment. But obviously I'm doing aerospace engineering. So there'd be a lot of opportunities overseas to go and work for race teams or large sort of companies, like Boeing or Airbus are the main two sort of aerospace ones. So I've got a few more years left on the degree at the moment. So basically, I'll just try and work out where I want to go as those years come on. Just keeping everything open at the moment.
Do you currently have a favorite team or driver that you follow in any sort of category?
I've been sort of out the loop at the moment. But I mean, sort of F1. I've got to go for Charles Leclerc. I think, we've had the Mercedes dominance, we've had the almost Red Bull dominance, and I'd like to see Charles come through and maybe put Ferrari on the top step should they be able to get their strategies right. That would be nice to see.
Yeah, and my brother, he's a dedicated Ferrari fan. He has been since Charles Leclerc joined the team. So, it's been unfortunate. He hasn't seen the success that was promised, I guess, towards the start of the year. Like after Monza 2019, he thought things could only go up. Then 2020, they had their disastrous year. 2021 was a little bit of an improvement, but when they showed their strong performance at the start of this year, he really had hope. And I just sort of think that slowly started messing up as it went along, and they keep tripping over their shoes, I guess, if you want to put it like that. So yeah, he's a little bit upset, but he's next year. So
he need a clean start will be good for him to show that pace that he has.
Yeah, and I do know that you post what you're doing on social media. So where can the viewers follow you if they want to keep up with your racing?
Yeah, so there's probably a bit more going on now than what there has been. I was a bit quiet at the start of the year, but getting back into everything. So Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Swaglord Racing is the name. Instagram is at the Swaglords. But you should keep an eye on that. Hopefully I can start posting some YouTube videos as well, just of what things I've been up to there. But I try and mix things up on social media. There's quite a few different projects all happening at once. Some things I can post, some things I can't, unfortunately. Yeah. But Swaglord Racing, just Google it. There's only one Swaglord Racing, so you'll be able to find it.
That's a good thing. But yeah, thanks so much for chatting to me tonight, Matt. I know the future is bright for you in hopefully a year or two's time. Things will start heading your way. Well, even this year would be nice, but we're getting close to the end. But I can't wait to see your progress to, the next level. And I know you will be successful in whatever you do decide to do after uni. And it'd be really cool if, we could see each other again at the track. Like I'm racing soon, so whether we catch up at a race event or something, that might be pretty cool. But remember everyone, if you're racing this weekend, drive fast and take chances. So, safely, of course. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.